Okay, today we're going to do that from Nun Aleph, Amid Aleph. We're going to be speaking about different minhagim that have in different places and what happens when a person goes from one place to the other. So we finished off yesterday at all the way at the bottom of Nun base, Nun Amid base. Bnei Chuzai. The line starts with the second last line from the bottom, the two dots. Says the Gemara. Bnei Chuzai, the people of Chuzai, Nagu the Mafreshe Chala Me'areza. They used to take challah from rice. We know that rice is potted from challah, but the Bnei people of Chuzai, they even when they made dough, rice dough, they still used to take challah. Either they didn't know or they had a different minhag. We're going to see soon that they were mistaken. You're not supposed to take challah from rice. That was the thing in Chuzai, they took challah from rice. Also, Rabbi Yosef, people came in front of the people came and asked Rabbi Yosef on this minute. Rabbi Yosef told them, what should we do? So Rabbi Yosef answered, they should bring someone who's not a kohen. Someone who's not a kohen is asked to eat challah. So that's how they bring a Yisrael to Chuzai. And he should eat the challah, which they separated. So Bnei Chuzai are separating challah mistakenly. So in order to prove to them that they're mistaken, you should bring Yisrael to eat the challah in front of them. And that would show them that they're mistaken by taking challah, because Yisrael can't eat challah. So if Yisrael is eating challah publicly, it's because he's confident that it's not challah, and therefore they'll learn from the mistake. You say, how can it be to say that they should find someone to eat challah in front of them? We learn a brayz mutar. If you have something which is mutter, and for whatever reason a place or a town decided that it's usher, the meaning they made it usher, it's usher for you to be matir. They're meaning in front of them. Let's say in New York, they decided for whatever reason that it should be usher to wear white socks. So it's usher for you to come and tell them that's mutter. It's usher for you to tell someone from New York that's mutter. So how can Rabbi Yosef say that you should tell the people of Bnei Chuzai that the challahs, that we don't take challah from rice? It's their chumrah, let them keep it. So answer Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef told Abaya, didn't we learn this rule that if you have people which have a chumrah, you shouldn't matir the chumrah, even though they're mistaken, is only regarding kutim. It's only regarding people who aren't regular Jews. There's a whole discussion about kutim, right? Kutim, people came from a place called Kuta. That it's a whole story. If they are Jewish, they're not Jewish, or they're Suffolk Jewish. But so regarding people from Kutim, regarding the Kutim, they have regular people. If you see that they take a chumrah, you should be matir the minute. Why? Ask the Gemara, Kuta my time. What's the reason that if you see a kuti doing something which doing extra chumrah, which it doesn't say anywhere, what's the reason you should not permit it for him? Answer the Gemara, mishum de misrachim milsa, because if you matir one thing, he might think everything is asur. You're telling him that it's mutter to take. He thinks that in his head it's that regarding rice you have to take challah. You're going to tell him, by the way, rice you don't have to take challah. In his head, he's going to say, "Oh, rice you don't have to take challah." So then wheat also you don't have to take challah. He's going to start being matter everything. And since he's going to start being matter everything, we are gezer that don't be matter anything from. Don't tell him anything is mutter. Asa baya. So this problem, once you matter one thing, they're going to think everything is mutter. It's also regarding the place of Chuzai, which they weren't kutim. So maybe if you go to Chuzai and you tell them that they could start eating rice without challah, maybe they're also going to think that bread is mutter and everything is mutter. So the same chash that's regarding the kutim is also the same chash regarding the people of Chuzai. If you're going to start telling them that what they're doing is wrong, and really you're able to eat challah, but you're able to eat rice without taking challah, they're going to think that all dough is mutter. So the Gemara says, in order to understand this story, the Gemara explains that Rav Ashi said, Chazino we see. If most of the people of Chuzai eat rice, so then they should tell them that rice. Only if the whole city eats rice and you're going to tell them that rice is parted from challah, then the kids are going to forget the rules of challah, because now the only dough is dough, and they're taking challah. So at least they're educating the kids in the laws of challah, even though they're wrong with taking from rice, because rice is parted from challah. But then the kids aren't going to forget the rules of challah, because their parents have been taking challah their whole life, even though it's from the wrong dough, but at least they've taken the rules. So if the only thing they eat is challah, don't tell them anything about it. But if most of the city eats regular grain, not rice, but regular grain, which is challah, I'm not sure why this is just went off, but anyway, if they only eat grain, they only eat rice. So don't tell them that rice is part of challah, because they're going to stop taking challah from the rice, and then that's the only thing they eat. So the kids are never going to know the rules of challah. But if they eat grain, they eat regular wheat and barley, whatever. So then you should tell them not to take challah from rice. Because why? Because maybe they're going to have two doughs. They're going to have a dough which is a wheat dough, and a dough which is a rice dough, and they're going to say, "Oh, I'm going to take challah from rice the wheat dough," and that doesn't work. Take challah from rice doesn't work. So therefore, you shouldn't tell them. Therefore, you should tell them specifically that rice dough is parted from challah. Now the Gemara goes into discussion about how minhagim work. What we just said before, we said like this: if you have something which is mutter, and some people for whatever reason decide that it's awesome, it's awesome for you to permit this thing in front of them. For example, let's say we said before, let's say in New York they decide to wear this and this clothes, wearing white socks is off for whatever reason. It's also for you to go to New York and tell everyone that wearing white socks is mutter. But if it's sad, that's only if we're speaking about people who aren't Jewish, they aren't regular Jews, so therefore they don't know any Torah. If you tell them that white socks is mutter, they're going to start saying all clothing is mutter, and therefore you shouldn't be matter in front of them. Ask the Gemara, you're telling me that if you have regular Jews and you see them doing something which is mutter, you see having extra chumrah, you shouldn't tell them that it's only a chumrah and that it's mutter. We learn in the Brayso, says in the Brayso like this: regarding going to mikveh in the bathhouse, two brothers are allowed to go in the same bathhouse. But in the place of kavel, the Brayso said if you're in kavel, which is a place, then two brothers should not go to the same bathhouse. Because the minig in kavel was that even two brothers shouldn't go in the same bathhouse. It happened with Yehuda and Hillel, the sons of Rabbi Gamliel. They both went, again, the two brothers, and they both went into the bathhouse in Kavel. The laws are made the whole crisis in the city. Rabbi Gamliel's sons, which are brothers, are going to the mikveh together. And they told them, we never saw that two brothers are able to go into mikveh together. What did the two brothers do? What did Hillel and Yehuda do? Instead of telling them, by the way, it's mutter for two brothers to go into mikveh, they didn't do that. Hillel went to the clothing area. Instead, meaning they didn't go to. He went outside the mikveh, but he didn't tell them that two brothers is mutter to go inside the mikveh. He let them keep their minik, and that's it. From here we see that not only kutim, if you see them having a minik, you shouldn't be about on the minik. Even regular Jews, you shouldn't be about on the minik. Another story to prove this. Another story. Yotzin, the Brayso says Yotzin b'kur the kisem Shabbos. The minig is that it's mutter to go out. The halach is it's mutter to go out with slippers on Shabbos. Then Yotzin b'kur the kisem Shabbos b'bidi. But the people of Bidi, which is a place, decided that it's also to go out with slippers on Shabbos because they might fall off. It happened once with the sons of Gamliel, Hillel, and Yehuda. That they went out with slippers in Bidi on Shabbos. For and the whole city made an uproar in the city, and the whole city started screaming at them and telling them, we never, our minig is, we never saw someone going in the street with slippers on Shabbos. It's awesome. And what did the Hillel and the Yehuda do? Instead of screaming at them, answering them back, by the way, do you know that it's mutter? They didn't tell them that. They took off the slippers and walked barefoot. They gave them to their slaves instead. But they never told them that's mutter to go. They never answered them back and told them that's mutter to go with slippers in the street. Another story we see this, a third story. It says the Brisa says that it's mutter to sit on a bench of a goy, meaning in the marketplace, you're able to sit on the bench that belongs to a goy, even though there might be a sign that on Shabbos people will think you're doing business with a goy. It's mutter. But if you go to Akai is a place, then it's usher for you to sit on benches in the midst of the goyim. Gamliel was in Akai for Shabbos, and he sat on the bench over there, which belonged to a goy. The laws all of Kalam Dina made uproar in the city. They all started screaming him and telling him, "We never saw that people should be matir to sit on a bench that belongs to a goy, because people think you're doing business with the goy in Shabbos." Instead of answering back the way you're wrong, he told them, he got up from the bench, and he stood. He stopped sitting. He never told them that they're mutter. There are a few cases that we see over here that a certain city said something which is asur, even though it's mutter, and the Chachamim never told them that it's mutter. Chachamim let them keep their minig. And we see these people were not kutim. So if it has this fit with before we said only with kutim, if they're doing a minig, you should let them do it. But regarding all these stories, they weren't kutim, and the Chacham still let them do it. Answers the Gemara, b'nei medina sayam, kiman the lishchich abnei gabay kutim dam. I'm not sure what's wrong with the recording, but this meaning applies also to the people of Chutz La'aretz. Meaning, if you see the people which don't live in Eretz Yisrael are doing a certain minig, you shouldn't be mevatel the minig. Why? Because the people of Chutz La'aretz don't have a lot of Torah knowledge, because the Chachamim didn't come there yet, and therefore, if you're going to tell them that their minig is mutter, they're going to start saying, "Oh, the minig is mutter. This is also mutter. This is also mutter," and they're going to come to use a lot of isurim. So if you see people of Chutz La'aretz or Amoratzim doing something, don't change the meaning. Now the Gemara goes back to the three stories we just mentioned before. One of the stories says the Gemara, the reason it's okay to understand the reason why I would have asked it sitting on a bench with a goy on Shabbos is because it's from the Mechzik and Mekha, because it looks like you're doing with the goy business on Shabbos. So too regarding the rule of Kudakisa and Nami, so too the reason why I would ask it to go with slippers on Shabbos, maybe they're going to fall off on Shabbos, you're going to come to carry them. So you're going to come to carry them on Shabbos. But what would be the reason to ask the brothers together? My time on life. What was the svara? What was the reasoning of the people of Kabul that they asked the two brothers to go to Bathas? Answers the Gemara, the reason was like this. Because the time we learned like this. In a person can go into Bathas with whoever he wants, with any of his friends or his siblings. Besides his brother, his father, V'chamiv and his father-in-law, Ubal Imei, and his mother's husband, meaning his mother remarried, and his mother's husband, Ubal Achese, and the husband of his sister, his brother-in-law. All these four people, it's also for him to go into bathhouse with. Why? Because Rashi brings down, because you're going to have bad thoughts. If you're going to go and see your father or your father-in-law without any clothes on, you're going to remember that this is where you come from, and this is where your wife comes from, and it's going to bring the bad thoughts in the mikveh. So we didn't want that, so we asked her to go into the bathhouse together. Rabbi Yehuda Matir, Rabbi Yehuda Ba'aviv, when they covered Aviv, Rabbi Yehuda said that it's mutter to go into, he argued, and he said it's mutter to go into the bathhouse with your father, in order to give your father respect, meaning if your father needs any help, to help him out. But also, so too, the husband of your mother, you're able to go into the bathhouse with him and help him out. But also, And people of Kaval, the two brothers can't go into the mikveh. It's not because there's a problem with two brothers. It's because of they asked it two brothers, just like your brother-in-law is usher. So to Bnei Kaval the people of Kaval took an extra step and said, even your brother, even two brothers is usher. And that's why in the Kaval, in the place of Kaval, they asked it, even two brothers to come together in the bathhouse. One more thing regarding going in the bathhouse. Nan, we learn in a Mishnah, in a Brisa, a student should not go into the mikveh with his teacher. Why? Because it's embarrassing. You have to respect. It's embarrassing for the teacher. If the teacher needs him, mutter, then it's mutter. So now the Gemara continues speaking about different minhagim of going from one place to another. Says the Gemara. When Rabbi Bachana came from Chutz La'aretz from Eretz Yisrael to Babel, Rabbi Bachana lived in Eretz Yisrael. He came to Babel for a visit. He ate a fat of the stomach of an animal, which in Eretz Yisrael they held that this fat is aser, is mutter. That's why he ate the fat. And in Babel he held that it's mutter. Okay, so he came. So in Babel they held that it's aser. So Rabbi from Eretz Yisrael, which is mutter, into Babel, and he carried on eating the fat. Let's say one place answers smartphones, and I bring my smartphone into a place in that place, even though I hold it's mutter. All like Rabbi Avira came to Rabbi Bachana and told him, Saba Rabbi Avira and Rafuna came and told him, Kim the Chazi and came to meet him. As soon as he saw them approaching, he covered his fat from they shouldn't see them. They shouldn't see him eating. Why? Because for them it's awesome. Oh, Rabbi Avira and Rabbi came to Abai and they told him this whole story. Them, it's an insult for you because the fact that he covered his chicken or his fat, because for you it's awesome, for him it's mutter, is because he thinks you're like a kuti. Because just like a kuti or like a amaretz, you said before, that all by amaretz, if you hold this, if you see him doing something extra chumrah, you shouldn't tell him that it's mutter. So he's saying that which you covered the chicken and covered the fat, it wasn't more because he respects you. It's because he thought you were like a kuti. He thought that if he told you that it's mutter for you to eat your fat, then you're going to come to think all the other fat's mutter, and therefore he covered the fat, so you shouldn't have any questions. Says the Gemara. Now we're asking a question on how did Rabbi Bachana come from Eretz Yisrael to Babel? And he ate the fat in Babel, even though the people of Babel say it's also. He doesn't hold Haditnan, he doesn't hold of a Mishnah, which you said in a Mishnah. In a Mishnah it says that if you go from one place to another, and the place that you go to are more machmir, you have to keep the chumras of that place. So how did Rabbi Bachana eat the chicken, eat the fat in Babel? If in Babel holds that's awesome. I don't care if you came from Eretz Yisrael, but if you go from one place that's mekel to a place that's more machmir, you have to keep the minhagim of the place you go to. Answers the Gemara a few answers. Abai answers one answer. Hani mi Babel above. Where do we say that you have to keep the chumras of the place that you go to? Is if you're going from one place in Babel to another place in Babel. And so too, Eretz Yisrael. And so too, in one place in Eretz Yisrael to another place in Eretz Yisrael. Inami mi Babel Eretz Yisrael, or you're going from Babel to Eretz Yisrael. So in all these places, then if a place you're going to is more machmir, you have to keep the chumrah. Abel Eretz Yisrael to Babel. If you're going from Eretz Yisrael to Babel, has a different din. Because the whole Chutz La'aretz is bottled to Eretz Yisrael. Avdinu kavasaya, since the whole Chutz La'aretz is bottled to Eretz Yisrael, meaning it's not significant when it comes to the meaning of Eretz Yisrael. It's much more chashuv than Chutz La'aretz. Therefore, if you're going from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz, so you keep the minhag of Eretz Yisrael, because the whole Chutz La'aretz is bottled to Eretz Yisrael, and that's why Rabbi Bachana, even though in Babel they asked you to eat this type of fat, but Rabbi Bachana, when he came to Babel, he kept the meaning of Eretz Yisrael, because Eretz Yisrael, Chutz La'aretz is bottled to Eretz Yisrael when it comes to minhag. Another answer, Rav Ashi says, Afilo Tema Eretz Yisrael above. You can even say that which the Mishnah says that you have to keep the chumras of the place, is even if you're coming from Eretz Yisrael to Babel. Meaning, even if Babel is more machmir than Eretz Yisrael, when you come to Eretz Yisrael to Babel, you have to keep the chumras of Babel. So why did Rabbi Bachana keep the chumrah and not eat the fat? When do you have to keep the minhag if you're not going to go back? You're coming here for steak. But Rabbi Bachana, he was going back to Eretz Yisrael. Since he was going back to Eretz Yisrael, he carried on keeping the minhagim of Eretz Yisrael. And that's why he ate the fat, even though Baba held us. So we have two answers why he ate it. Number one, because the meaning of Eretz Yisrael is always dominant, no matter where it goes. And the second answer is that Rabbi Bachana was going to go back there to Yisrael, and that's why he kept his meaning. One more nukuda of this, another story that proves this point. Amalei Rabbi Bachana told his sons, B'ni, my son, lo yiseichal b'fanai v'shloi b'fanai. If you go for one place, this fat, right, that in Eretz Yisrael it's mutter, but in Baba it's aser. He told them, my sons, my children in Baba, don't eat it, whether you're in front of me or whether you're not in front of me. Why? Because I saw Rabbi Yechon eat this fat. Rabbi Yechon lived in Eretz Yisrael, and ever since I saw Rabbi Yechon eat this fat, so it's a heter for me. Could I Rabbi Yechon listen to chalab? Rabbi Yechon is strong enough for me to rely on him in front of his face, and when he's in front of his face, and meaning in Eretz Yisrael, and even when I go to Babel, he's strong enough for me to rely on him, meaning Rabbi Yechanan, and carry on eating the fat. He said, but you, my children, never saw Rabbi Yechanan eating the fat. So why would you eat the fat? You'll eat the fat because I'm eating the fat. So he says, for me, I'm not strong enough for you to rely on me on my minhag. I'm doing my minhag because Rabbi Yechanan did it, and that's what I do. But it's not haydah Adam. It's not haydah for you, for my children to start eating the fat, because I'm not strong enough. I don't see myself responsible enough to for you to start keeping them minhagim if I'm only relying them on because of Rabbi Yechanan. So it says, we'll stop over here at the bottom of the Nun Aleph or Mad Aleph. We'll continue tomorrow at the top of the Nun Aleph. Good night. Any questions?